Hi crafters, this is Nye with All Things Were Created. Today this video will be the assembly of the Let It Snow winter sled. You can grab this free design off of my website. I'll link it below for you. I'm just going to run through quickly what some of my supplies are so you can see what I'm using when I begin gluing. First up is my art glitter glue. I love this stuff. It dries clear and it doesn't warp my cardstock. I'm also going to be using this jute twine. And then I also have my foam dots that I'll be using. I'll put them in certain areas to help give that 3D pop effect to the sled. I also have two rulers. One's just a regular ruler, and then this black one is a 90-degree angled ruler. I'm just going to use it to help me level and eye up some of the different parts of the design. I might not use it though. We'll see if I end up. And I also have my hot glue gun that's off camera. I'll be using that as well. So now we're ready to get started. First up, we'll be doing the design, or we'll be gluing together the snowflake bow. We're going to grab the big snowflake and the kind of ribbon pieces. What we did before when we were cutting is we scored right down the center. And I'm going to now fold all of those ribbon pieces in the center so that way they'll be folded and ready for gluing. Let me just do these last three. That's one, and then two, and then the last one. And what I will now do is I will take it and I will pinch it together. Just like that. It's really simple. And I will now use my hot glue gun to add a little glue right in the center there along the fold line. I'm using my hot glue gun because the hot glue gun will dry faster. I won't have to hold the ribbon piece as long, and I can put it down and move on to the next one. So once again, I'm going to grab my hot glue gun. Oh, I forgot to pinch it. Let me pinch it there. Okay. And now I'll add my hot glue gun right there in the center and pinch it together again. And now for the third one, I'll pinch it together. And then I'll use my hot glue gun right along the center score line there and pinch it together so it seals. And if you notice that a little bit of the glue is coming out of the top, that's okay. Just push it down a little. And for the fourth one, once again, pinch it together, fold it to make sure that it's there, and grab your hot glue, add it right to the center, and pinch it again in the center. And again, if you notice that there's glue coming out of the top, just push that down. It's okay. And then for the last one, pinch it together, fold it there, and then add the hot glue right in the center and pinch it together again. And then just fold that glue over onto the top to seal it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our jute twine. I'm going to get my scissors as well, and I'm just going to cut a little bit. What I'm going to use the jute twine for is kind of taking my ribbon pieces, and I'll be using it to hold them together. But first what I'm going to do is line up my pattern of how I want the ribbon to be. The snowflake and then the light blue. And what I'm going to do now is I'm also going to take my hot glue gun again, and I'm going to add it right along the center on the outside of the ribbon piece. And then I'm going to push the two of them together. And then I'll take another pattern piece of my snowflake and get my hot glue gun again. My hot glue gun is tied around my camera. I think it's hitting it. Can you guys see it? Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'll add the glue there and join all three of them together. I'm just getting the extra pieces of the glue. And then I'll take my dark blue and my hot glue. And again, I'm just going to add that into the mix and hold them tightly there. And then for the last snowflake piece, grab a little bit more of the hot glue right along the center there. And I will add the last one there. Okay, so there we go. This will be kind of like the ribbon, which would be the back of our bow of our snowflake. Very neat. I'm just going to frill them out a little bit. And so the hot glue will hold it all together, but I'm just going to take the jute twine and I'm just going to wrap it around the ribbon pieces just to make sure that it stays. I do not expect it to come off, and so really this step could be optional. You don't have to do it. The hot glue will really hold it. I'm just going to make a knot here and then I'll double knot it again. Just make it tight. And I'm going to cut away the excess because I don't want it to show up past the bow. All right, let me just get rid of this extra twine. And there we go. So now it's secure. It's not going anywhere. And I'm going to take my snowflake and I'm going to line it up right in the center where, so it will cover that jute twine for me. And I like that. And grab my hot glue again one more time. Add it to the back of my snowflake. That's more than what I needed, but it's okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it and add it right into the center there. Just press it and hold it, and it's fine. I think I'm actually going to tilt it just a little. I might have dried. Nope, it's good. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just pulling out the edges to kind of give it again that 3D pop. Not all of the sides, but just a couple of them there. Okay. And there we go. There's our snowflake bow. Pretty simple and easy and cute. Okay. And now we will glue the mittens of the design. I'm going to grab my glue with my Butterfingers. And I'm tight on space here because I don't really want to go off the camera. I don't really want to move the sled. But this part is just basically gluing, so I'm going to stop talking so that way when I go to edit the video, I can speed it up a little for you and hopefully shorten it. That finishes the gluing of the mittens. I am not going to glue the cord of the mittens just yet. I'm going to wait until we're ready to glue them to the actual sled because I want them to line up just right. So I'm going to put it off to the side. We're going to glue the signs next. I cut both of them out so that way you could see the assembly of both of them. I don't know if you can see the other one on the camera. Let me check. Oh, okay. Yes, you can. So I'm going to use the Let It Snow somewhere else because that's just how I feel. I've got jute twine everywhere here too, and it's bothering me. Okay. So the sign has 3 layers. The dark blue, the white, and the light blue layer for me. I'm going to glue the dark blue or the upper layer with the wording. So this is just going to take me a few minutes to get all the glue on here. But this dark blue layer is going to glue right on top of the white layer. I'm just going to do this part so I can line it up. Sorry, I'm off the camera probably again. Hopefully not too much so you can see some of it. But I'm just going to line it up just right. While the glue is still wet, you're usually able to move it just a little bit. So there we go. That looks good. You check for any pieces that or any bit of glue that might be seeping through. You can use your pin to get it and then just clean off your pin with a paper towel. I'm just going to grab this little bit extra that's still there and a little bit more. Even though it dries clear, I don't want it to be so visible. Okay, and now I'm just going to glue the top part that I didn't finish. And it's just a little bit more. Just get in between the letters here and the edge. Okay, so that's now does it. And I'm pressing it down. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my foam dots here at this section because I want this part of the sign to kind of have that 3D appearance or that pop a little bit. So I'm just going to add a couple more and then take off these pieces. This is always the longest and hardest part because the little sticky papers never want to come up and the little foam squares are so tiny. I hope I'm not the only one that struggles with this. Just a couple more. Oh. Okay, two more. And now the last one. Okay. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of eyeball it so it lands in the center. It really doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it to be completely obvious that it's not lined up. And so that finishes that part of the sign. I'm going to do the snowflake. Just a little bit of glue on the different areas and press it down gently there. All right, so that finishes this one. I'm going to speed up the video now as I assemble the other sign for you, but basically the steps are going to be the same. So that now finishes the sign part. And we're ready now to glue the sled. But first I'm going to take up all my snowflakes and just put them off to the side. I'm also going to move my mittens because I'm going to need a little bit of space because the sled is kind of big. So what we also did was we had cut 2 layers of the actual sled. We did that just to make sure that it was a little bit thick. And so because 1 layer of cardstock might have just been a little flimsy, you could do 3 or 4 if you really want it thick, but it's not necessary. 2 is fine. So I'm just going to line it up here because I do want it to be precise. I'm going to take my hand and press it and hold it so it doesn't move. And then I'm just going to lift up the top layer, just if I can get it here. All right, now I've got it. And I'm going to add a bead of glue along there and then press it down. So that will secure it there. And now I can lift it from the other side and I'll add some glue to the other areas. So I'll do that second panel there. And then I'll press it down to kind of hold it secure and just kind of make sure that it's still lining up. And then the third panel is just a little bit more glue. across the whole area. And then again, I'm just going to press it down, making sure that I'm still lining everything up. And then for this fourth panel, I'm probably getting a little off the camera here. Hopefully you can still see it. And then I'm going to press it down again. And then for the very last edge, I'm going to lift that part up and add a little bit more glue. You probably totally can't see this now. And then I'm just going to press it down. Let me move this up a bit. Okay, that's probably a little bit better, hopefully. And then I'm pressing it down. Okay, and so there you can see it. I've flipped it over because what we're going to do now is work at the back. I took the two railing part. We had cut two of those. I'm adding glue to this area. And then I will glue the two rectangles together. This part is a little stuck. It's not coming up for me. Okay, and I'm just going to add them together and line them up as well because I don't want them to be off. And there we go. That looks good. And I'm just going to press it. And okay, and now I'll do this one for the same thing for the top part. Add some more glue. And that looks good. And then I'll add that piece again, lining it up just right. And okay, and then just pressing it down. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to stay on the back part of the sled, and we're going to take our foam dots, and we are going to use foam dots before we glue the railing. The foam dots are just going to help to give that 3D pop again. I'm going to evenly space them along here. I think 4 will be enough. And then taking off these back paper pieces again. Joy, joy. And the third one, and then the last one. And then I'm going to take the railing, and so it's not the exact length. So what I want to do is just kind of make sure that I'm evenly in the center there and that it is straight across on a straight line. So I'm eyeballing it, and that looks good. So I'm going to press it down. And then I'm going to do that again for the top, just a couple more foam dots right there at the top. That's 2, 3, and 4, and that's good. And take off the tops again of the foam pieces, the little papers. Now the third one and the fourth. And then I'll take that center piece again, or that railing, and just kind of eyeball it and line it up, and that's good. So now it's really starting to look like a sled. You can see it a little bit at the back. Okay, so that looks good. But before we can do the next part, we have to do the top part of the sled. So these are just our bolts. I just thought these were a cute little fine detail to add to it. They're not necessary, so if you didn't want to cut them out, or if you didn't cut them out, that's okay too. You're just going to glue it and then put the two pieces together and just press gently. Make sure that the edges, it's right in the center there. And then do that for the other side as well. Just add a little bit of glue to that lighter brown, and then gluing it to the back part. Just resembles the bolt that's holding the, I don't know, do they call that the sled handle to the sled? And then for this part, we cut 2 of these as well. We're just going to add some glue here. Once again, if you had cut 3 or 4 layers of the sled part, you want to make sure that you do the same for this top part as well, so that way the thickness is the same and equal. So just line it up, and then once again press it down so it stays. And there, that's good. Now we're ready to do the back part of the sled. I am going to make some space here and then rotate them for you so that way you can see all of it at the same time. We cut 2 of these on our brown cardstock. And what we want to do is we want to line it up in such a way that the bottom part will meet the score line of the top part. Okay, see how it goes right there? So I'm going to put that one at the back, the top part at the back, the bottom part next, then the top one, and then the bottom part. And see how they match right there? That top lines up with the score line of the top part. That's what I'm going for. Okay, so let me pull this off and I'll start gluing. And I'm only going to glue the score area of the top part because I'm not ready to glue anymore. Let me put this part here and then just put it right up to the top of that score line and press it down right there. And then I'm going to take the top piece and find my score line. There it is. And now what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to line everything up and then I will add the glue to the score area just to start and then press it down. And again, just line it all up so it's just right. Okay, and then I'll add the glue to the whole upper part. And then I will press it down so that way. And then line it up, shift it if I need to. It's okay, it's looking better now. There we go. I can feel the thickness, it's pretty neat. And then what I will do now is I'll take my bottom piece, and that's not the right area. There we go. And I'm going to line it up. So once again, there we go. And now I'm just going to add the glue to the score area. And then I'll press it down right at the line so the top of the bottom meets the score line of the top. And it's all lined up there. And then I'm going to turn it so that way I can glue it. And then I'll just add the glue to the back of this area here. And that will finish this one. And okay, yep, it all looks good. And I can feel the weight of it. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other part of the sled, the other leg of the sled. What we want to do is make sure that the top of the bottom piece lines up with the top of the score line of the top piece. That's like a mouthful to say. Okay, so line everything up first. So it looks like there's some tape on this part here. You just get that off. Okay, and all right, so it looks good. I'm going to start to glue. And I'm going to take the bottom piece and line it right up to the top of the score line. Okay, I wanted to make sure that I had them facing the right way so I wasn't gluing the wrong area. I'm pressing it down now. And then I'm going to take the top piece again and line everything up. And I'm going to add the glue in that score area. And then I'm going to press it down. And then I will glue the back part of it. Add some glue here. And I'm ready to press it down. If I need to, I just want to make sure the top lines up completely. That looks good too. Just press it there. And then for the bottom piece, I'm going to add the glue right in the score line area again. And take that bottom piece and make sure that it lines up right at the top of that score line. All right, that looks good. Ooh, that part got ripped there. Okay, and then I'll flip it again so I can glue that back part. Just add a bit of glue here. and then I'm going to press it down again. Okay. All right, and so I can really feel the weight now for both of these. So now I'm going to assemble everything together. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I take the top part of the back of the sled and line it up with the top of the bottom part of the brown part of the sled. Again, another mouthful to say. I'm going to use my 90-degree ruler here just to kind of help me to make sure that I get the two pieces lined up, the two pieces of the sled lined up just right. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. I'm going to pull it down just a little bit so you can see the top part. All right. And I'm going to line it up right there. So the top, again, matches the top part of the bottom. And just set it there. I think what I might do is I'm actually going to take the brown parts of the sled, and I think I'm just going to move them in just a little bit. So that way the tan part of the sled overhangs, I don't know what you would call that, the rails of the sled there. All right, so try and keep everything as lined up as possible. And okay, that looks good. I'm liking the way that this is looking. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this off to the side because what I want to be able to do is add my foam dots. It's a really tight space here, at least to stay within the camera. I want to add foam dots along the back part of the railing because that's the part that's going to connect to the sled. Oh, I don't need it there in the center because I really only need it at the edges because nothing's going to hit it in the center. You can't see me adding the foam dots, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'm just adding it where I think the sled part will line up. And it's only two on the top part and two on the bottom part. I'm peeling it off. And these sticky little papers here, not the easiest to work with at times. And the last one, and okay, I just shifted it a little. Great. All right, let me move it back. Okay. And so I'm going to take the top part of that railing of the sled and line it up with the top of the brown. I've got it on the inside just a little bit, and I'm going to press it down. Now, there we go. Okay, just be gentle and press it down there. Okay, and looks good. Perfect. And I'm going to use foam dots on the top part of the sled as well. I'm going to pull that down so you can see it a little bit more. I'm going to take the curves and just kind of eyeball it and make sure that they line up and match. And let me grab my foam dots. Again, just two will be needed right there where the brown will meet the tan. Grab the paper stickies and line it up again. And that looks good. And press it down gently. Okay, so I'm going to take the cord of the mitten and I'm just going to try and lay things out here a little bit. I want that there. Let me grab my sign, and I'm going to bring my sign and just kind of place it so I have an idea of where I want things to be. Let me add my mitten right here. Okay, that looks good. And let me grab the other one. That looks good too. Okay. All right. So what I'll do now is I'll add the screws on. So can you see this? Yes. Okay. Let me glue it there. Okay, that looks good there. And then let me do the second one. And I'm going to add it right there as well. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to take and glue my mitten to the cord. I left a little bit extra of the cord. I did that on purpose so that way you can decide how far up or down on the cord you want your mitten to sit. So I know where I'm going to put mine. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. Let me get a little bit more. And then let me add my mitten. And let me just set it right there. That looks pretty good. Let me pick it up. I'm going to hold it and press it so that way my glue has a little bit of a chance to dry. Okay. All right, that looks good. Let me put it back to where I want. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other side of my mitten and I'm going to glue that as well to the cord. I'm just going to lift it up a little bit here. Well, maybe not. I'll just glue it down on the table like that. Add the glue. And then I'm going to add the mitten there. Ooh, I wonder if I should leave it behind it like that. Oh, I don't know how I feel. Ooh, that's a different look. It wasn't exactly what I was going for, but that does add a different look and gives a little bit more of a 3D appearance. But, I don't know. I'll have to think about it for a second. Okay, I think what I'll glue next is my sign. So I know where I want it to be. I have an idea. So let me just add the glue directly to the sled because I don't really want to glue all of the back of the sign itself because there's going to be some places where there won't be any glue. So then you just eyeball it again to make sure it kind of gets in the center there. That looks pretty good as well. You just shift it down a little bit if I can. Okay, just a little bit. And then I'm going to take the mitten and set it right on top. Now that I know exactly where I want it to be or where it's going to lay, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back and it will stay secure on the sign and on the sled. So there, just press gently. And now for the mitten. Oh, should I leave it at the back? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I should bring it so it comes up a little bit more. I think I like it better when it's up top because you can tell that there's a difference. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a little bit right here at where the thumb would go. And then I'm going to press it down. And that will stay there like that. That looks good. I like that. And what I'm going to do now as well is I'm only flipping it so that way I can add a little bit of glue to the back of the cord at the top of the sled. Just to keep it secure because even though I have it to the sign or I have it glued to the sign, it could still fall off here. So I'm just using my finger to press it down and there. That looks pretty good. Again. And now I'm going to take my snowflakes and add them. I'm going to put that one at the bottom. And then this one I'll stick on the side. Nope, there's good. I'll stick that one there and this one here. All right, I think I'm starting to like the way that they're sitting. You know what? I think I'm going to use a foam dot here at the back to add a little bit of pop to the snowflakes as well. Just trying to go again for that 3D effect. It gives the shadow, but for this one I'm going to use the glue and let it sit so that way one will have a shadow and one will not. And then for the big one, I'm going to use the glue as well. And then I'll add, I think, the foam dot to that tiny one. Be left. That looks good. And then we'll do this one. I think it's going to be too big, so I'm actually going to cut this one in half. Take that tiny piece, stick that there, and there we go. Take off the sticky part or the sticky paper of it. Okay. And that looks good. Oh, this is it. We're almost done. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? All right, so now for the bow. Decide how you want it to go. I'm going to leave mine there like that. And that looks pretty good to me. But before I do it, I'm actually going to add some twine at the back so that way I can hang it. So right there looks good. I'm going to take a dab of hot glue, add it kind of in the center there, and just stick the twine right in. It's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't need to make a knot or anything. Then you just take a little bit extra of the twine. Let me make sure it dries before I really start pulling on it. And I'm going to cut it. Let's see, that's a good enough length for me. And okay, let me figure out where I want it to be. That looks good. Once again, I'm really just eyeballing this part. It doesn't need to be precise, but because with the twine you can angle it. So let me add just a little bit of glue here. And let me stretch it out just a little bit. And I'm going to add the twine right into the glue. Press it in there. And then I'm going to use my scissors to cut off just a little bit. Okay, so now we're really close to being done. All we have left is the bow. And ooh, this is really shaping up. Okay, so I'm going to add my bow. How do I want it to be oriented? I think I like it this way, right there. That looks nice and full. So again, I'm going to take my hot glue gun and just add a dab right in the back. And that's good. I'm going to press it right in the center of the sled. It's perfect. I love it. And that's it. Crafty friends, we're all done. Longest video ever. Okay, happy crafting. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for following along.